Sargassum muticum is a species of brown algae from Japan that was first spotted along the California coast in 1970. Invasive species like Sargassum are a huge issue in coastal waters all around the world. New species of plankton, animals, and plants are often found as a byproduct of ballast water from cargo ship hulls and human transport mistakes. The thing is, these mistakes can be extremely costly for native species that call these waters home. Invasives have the potential to completely change the environment they land in and outcompete species that are already in it. This is why, when control methods fail, it's up to scientists to study how local environments are changing in response to these invasive species. Take Sargassum in California, for example. Sargassum has been a growing problem for marine ecosystems because it competes with native brown kelp forests for substrate to grow on. Right now, many researchers are working on how to conserve these kelp forests and the animals that depend on them for food and shelter. But it's not just the animals in the ocean that depend on these forests. Even after algae washes up from the ocean, it continues to provide organic material and three-dimensional topography for organisms in an otherwise barren landscape. So what happens to the shoreline animals, otherwise known as littoral macrofauna, that depend on washed-up algal racks as a resource? How do animals and their communities adapt to non-native algae? Well, we decided to figure this out. We set up 60 rack units made up of 3 different compositions, one with just Sargassum, one with Macrocystis porifera, the California native giant kelp, and one with a mixture of both. We collected the different rack types over the course of 10 days to see how the organism and the abiotic factors affecting the racks were changing over time. We expected to see fewer organisms in terms of diversity and abundance in Sargassum, even though it's been around for a while. Turns out they are more than happy with Sargassum in the environment and are thriving with higher levels of abundance compared to Macrocystis alone. Diversity levels between the 2 algal species were almost identical, most likely due to the similarities in abiotic factors such as decay rate and temperature. Sargassum even acts as a driver of high levels of diversity early on in succession, in addition to maintaining a higher overall number of individuals. So what does this all mean? Our coastlines seem to have adapted well to Sargassum's presence. This could be because Sargassum's been on California coastlines for over 40 years, or because there's not much difference in how Sargassum and native brown kelp decay. As it turns out, change is not always bad. And if you're a littoral macrofaunal invertebrate looking for friends, it might even be a good thing.